Welcome back to the booth here at Pro Tour Ixalan. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. That's Paul Cheon. Paul, you remember that one Pro Tour we did?
Oh, it was pretty recently, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And the player that we featured last round, Yam Wing Chung, had a pretty big mistake on camera. You and I were in the booth for
Pretty
it.
epic match.
It was an awesome match between two great players. It was a mirror match also, I might add. Well, we've got that lined up for you here as well. We've got Yam Wing Chung versus Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa in the rematch from the semifinals from just a Pro Tour ago. And once again, even though we're in limited, they are playing a mirror match with their decks. They're both red-green dinosaurs. Let's head on down. It's time for round 10 here from Pro Tour Ixalan. Hello and welcome back to coverage here at Pro Tour Ixalan. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Paul Cheon. And Paul, you and I, oh boy, did we cover a match in the semifinals just a short Pro Tour ago between these two gentlemen. Yam Wing Chung plays for Team MTG Mint Card. He's got a Pro Tour top 8 on his resume, and that's actually the one that we were just referencing. On the other side of the table, Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa plays for Team ChannelFireball. A cool 12 Pro Tour top 8s for him. And last time these players faced each other, they were playing Ramanov Red Mirror in the semis. It did not end well for Yam Wing Chung. It certainly did for Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa. Right. And now,
two-drop
match
again?
time. He always has it.
He always has the two-drop.
So they are once again playing the mirror match here, though before it was in constructed, now we find ourselves in limited. And while, of course, they were in the same pod, they both ended up in red-green dinosaurs. How do these two decks match up with each other, since they have a little bit of a different take?
Yeah, so I think both of the decks actually have quite strong top ends. Paulo started off the draft with the Registrar Alpha.
Ooh,
he
baby.
also got a Charging Registrar. Monstrosaur. And he has a lot of good top end as well. But Paulo has a few more two-drops. He's got 3 copies of Nest Robber in his main deck.
Uh-oh.
Oh, did Paulo miss a land drop?
He sure did.
Yeah, Paulo also, by the way, mulliganed this game.
He mulliganed to 6 and has now missed a land drop, and this one could fall away from him quickly. Yes, and this is exactly what Yam wanted to see on this turn, a Thrash of Raptors. Ooh, force up the top, though. We might have a game.
Is this the redemption game? This is the
Yam.
revenge game, the grudge match.
Exactly.
It's got so many words. There could be so many titles for this match.
Ooh, that was a land off the top. Does he have a Charging Monstrosaur? Maybe a removal spell in hand. Let's take a look at what Yam's working with here. Oh, he does have a friendly fire, or an unfriendly fire, I should say.
Yeah.
He could clear the way for 8 damage if he wants to just fire that off right now.
It seems really hard to give up. That's a ton of damage.
Really hard to not just do that.
He's got an excellent follow-up, too, with the Colossal Dreadmaw next turn. And Paulo's also stuck on lands. If he doesn't find a land, he's just going to have a pretty weak play this turn as well.
Yeah, but Yam's in that familiar position that he's always in, where he needs to top deck something. In this case, it's a land this turn, and as well as last turn. Let's see if he can find one. He did last turn, and that was a critical top deck.
If you squeeze really slowly,
you find another Colossal Dreadmaw,
is that what happens?
apparently.
Okay, apparently that's what happens.
It did work last time, though, so we're 50-50 on the slow squeeze.
So last night, when I was hanging out with Paul a little bit, they were talking about he was talking about the draft pod he was in. He's just like, oh, there's all these players in my pod, blah, blah, blah. There's Yam Wing Chun walking by. And I was just like, whoa, you're being kind of mean there. Why are you calling him the walking by? And then I later found out that was just actually his Twitter handle.
It is his Twitter handle, yeah. I think are we gonna see a pounce here? No.
Nope.
Yam is actually gonna let this happen, and this could be important as the Thrash of Raptors now does not have a dinosaur friend to pump it.
But Yam Wing Chun does have that Colossal Dreadmaw, and he did play a Blossoming Dryad. So next turn, he will have a dinosaur on demand.
Yes, on-demand dinos. Of course, he still squeezes because that does actually enable an attack from the Blossom Dryad. Did he hit that land?
Yeah, I imagine he's just going to attack with both here.
Yeah, of course, smart play here from Yam, making sure to play the Colossal Dreadmaw pre-combat. And all of a sudden, he finds himself in a
too much damage
where he is going to win this game. And Yam Wing Chung says, you know that last time? I might have beat you then, too, if I didn't make that mistake. And I'm going to do it
No mistakes this time.
He doesn't look that angry, though, to be honest. Look at
him.
Don't smile, Yam. No,
serious. This is the grudge match. You can't know.
We'll teach him next time to be meaner. But for now, Yam is just being himself. Super nice guy. Both of these players, to be honest. And we're going to get well, maybe a chance for Paulo to strike back. We'll be back with more Magic after these messages.
Ixalan is available in stores. Brave the unknown by exploring the lush jungles of Ixalan. Discover a world filled with mighty dinosaurs, treasure-hunting pirates, graceful merfolk, and sinister vampires. Visit Ixalan.com to find out more.
Up your game with Ultra Pro Magic the Gathering accessories. Find the best Magic art on card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and more. Visit ultrapro.com to learn more and find a retailer near you.
And welcome back to the feature match area here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Paul Chun. And looks like we're going to take a little live look in here at, well, the only match going at the moment. That is Kentaro Yamamoto on the left-hand side of your screen. He's playing against Paul Dean from Canada. And yikes, lopsided life totals here in game number one. Paul is going to need something.
What is Kentaro even at? Because I see a Priest of the Awakening Sun. I also see a Wild Growth War. Oh no, but that hasn't grown just yet. But
well,
that is a gigantic Vine Shaper Mystic, though. What is that? 4/6.
Still at only 2 life, Paul Dean is hanging on.
Oh, he's at 2
by a thread. He did cast 2 creatures last turn. Oh, but Pounce does look like it would give Yamamoto a lethal attack here with all of his creatures, and that is, in fact, going to be game number 1 going to Kentaro Yamamoto. Of course, a member of Team Musashi. They brought back the whole roster this year. After having won last time, they figured, well, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
we'll just do that again, I guess.
Yep. And actually, off to a rougher start this time around. I think they were ranked 23rd after day 1. But of course, a lot more Magic to be played for the rest of the season, and they have some of the world's best players on their squad.
No, they're out. One day of one Pro Tour, and we're just calling.
Nope. Just
you had a
count
good run,
out,
guys.
That's it.
just give it to ChannelFireball now.
In comes.
They did have an insane day yesterday. Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa leading the pack there, but he wasn't alone.
Yeah.
At X and 1 coming over. Another 2-drop from Yep. The reason, by the way, that we keep saying this, Paul and I, is because we watched this draft from Yam, and he has a total of 3 2-mana spells in his whole deck.
Right.
And he was desperate.
And he's played multiple. He's played one every single turn.
He has never missed.
He has not missed the 2-drop. There was game 1 of the first round. He went 2-drop, turn 4, 2 2-drops. He just played all of them.
The rest of them, as it were. He's going to be naming Dinosaur with that Pillar of Origins. And that actually can lead to some very scary
Raging
starts.
Raptors.
And this is why, you look at a card like Nest Robber and think, well, it has haste. And then it's like every deck just has something that interacts well with it, whether it's a 1/1 token or a 2/3 or whatever.
Yeah, 1/3. They're just so the sizing of the creature is just very, very poor.
Yeah, all the 1/4 brick wallet like very cleanly, and there's multiples of those in the format. So Paulo's going to have a relatively unexciting turn here. Just Ravenous Daggertooth go. Oh, a real bummer there for Damo da Rosa, too. In his hand, he's got a Ripjaw Raptor, but just is failing to find that second green mana source here.
Ooh,
because casting it here,
right?
Yowza.
It would be huge.
Yeah, and it gets really bad, too, because let's take a look at what he's working with. That's right.
Wow.
Pounce. He's got Pounce, too.
Well, look at the other card in his hand.
What? I don't see it.
Reggie?
What is
Reggie,
that?
what does that card do?
Is
Well,
that a
let's
good
see.
card?
Wait, where's the slow roll?
Well, he found the second green mana source.
There's
and
no slow roll from PV. He's just like, it's
he
going to
wants
be
to
there
know
or
that.
not. He
Yeah.
just wants to know right away.
And you know what? He's going to slam Regisaur Alpha here, most likely.
Although he doesn't get a good attack in because there's a
Nope.
Spiketail Ceratops in play.
Mm-hmm.
He might be considering just playing the Ripjaw Raptor here instead. But that would have haste next turn.
Yes.
But if he runs out the Ripjaw Raptor this turn, next turn he would have the mana to use Pounce on the Ripjaw Raptor. Whereas,
I do like that as an option, because if he's not going to be able to attack anyway, it's not super great. And yes, he does take that line. That makes a lot of sense here. It's the less powerful option now, but with the higher upside going forward.
right. These enraged creatures,
How many
really powerful in the red-green mirror because all the removal is basically just pure damage-based removal.
Mm-hmm.
So you will almost always get some kind of a benefit from these enraged triggers.
Man, a lot of rare dinosaurs in hand here for Paulo. He's deployed the first, and then he has Pounce and a Sure Strike to follow up. Just based on that, it's going to be tough. Let's see what Yam has. Can he fight this fight?
Ooh, he's got a bunch of lands, and I imagine he's going to keep this Unfriendly Fire, although it's a little bit awkward because it's not very good at dealing with that Ripjaw Raptor that's on the battlefield.
No, it really isn't, and he's already got one in his hand. He's probably thinking, well, I could block the Ripjaw Raptor and then use a... Oh, no, that's not what I want to do at all.
So now Yamwing Chun has 2 mana up. I wonder if Paulo
Cares about Sure Strike.
could be thinking about something like a Sure Strike, which wouldn't even be the worst because Paulo would still be able to draw a card.
Yeah, Paulo's like, no, in.
Attack. All right,
Does
now
not
the
care.
pressure is now on Yamwing Chun on the blocks here. He could choose to double block with the Ranging Raptors and the Ceratops, get a land. But if Paulo has anything, it's kind of rough. So okay, so he's just taking it here.
And that's kind of the secret tech to Ripjaw Raptor, is that it just says unblockable. Like, nobody ever wants to put a creature
The
in
old
front of the Raptor.
post-combat Regisaur Alpha.
Oh, the sad Reggie.
Yeah, and
It's still scary, right? Let's not forget that it gives other dinosaurs you control have haste, not just the one that it brings in, but next turn, any dinosaurs that he plays are going to have haste too.
yeah, and given that Paulo's red-green, he could have combat tricks. I think Yam's probably going to fire off this Unfriendly Fire on the Regisaur Alpha on his main phase.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting rid of a solid 4/4 body, and you're taking away the potential for disaster next turn.
That does leave the window open for Paulo to use his multiple tricks to deal with Yamwing Chun's creatures. If Yamwing Chun blocks, Paulo can blow him out with that Sure Strike. If he doesn't block, he can use the Pounce. He can use the Pounce to basically get rid of the Spiketail Ceratops and also draw a card with the Ripjaw Raptor.
Like this, after assigning lethal damage, can the remaining damage be assigned to other creatures?
Yeah, basically it's the same as the attacking on the reverse.
He chooses an order.
Yeah, you choose your...
I have to choose an order where
yes.
it double blocks.
Yeah, exactly like...
Sure.
Yeah, so Yam was clarifying how the rules work with Spike-tailed Ceratops, which allows you to block multiple creatures. You can block an additional one. He was saying, well, what if I wanted to use my burn spell in conjunction with the leftover damage? How do I do that? And the way it works is it's the same thing as when you're attacking and your opponent double blocks. You choose which order the damage is going to go. It's just that it's reversed for Spike-tailed Ceratops because Yam gets to choose which damage he wants the Ceratops to deal damage to of the 2 creatures that it's blocking.
Right.
And, Paulo knows about the first unfriendly fire. Yam did keep that on top of his library, so he had no problem asking the question, just like, hey, he knows I have this. How is this going to go? But of note here, he did let him untap. He did not fire it off on the Regisaur Alpha. He wants to see how this is going to go in combat.
And the Sure Strike is still lines up pretty favorably against that unfriendly fire. So Paulo can still get a pretty good attack here. Just be like, I know about your unfriendly fire. Cast it if you want. I'm representing a combat trick here.
I think Yam was hoping that Paulo would just be like, oh, that happens? I don't want to
He
attack
kept up
him.
mana and has unfriendly fire. Maybe he won't attack me. It's like, now what do you do? Do you just do the same thing? Do you just take 4 damage again?
That's like the best thing about the Ripjaw Raptor is that it just lets you attack with near reckless abandon because you're like, do what you want. I'm getting a card out.
Worst case, if I get totally blown out here, I guess I'll draw a card.
Yeah. Not a bad consolation prize.
All right.
So he's just going to go for the double block, but here comes the
Sure
big
strike.
blowout. Wow,
Ugh.
that 5 toughness on the Ripjaw Raptor. Just devastating for Yam here as his removal spell. And remember, this is his high-end removal spell. I mean, he, the most he can do is 6, but that's sorcery speed. And otherwise, this is his 5-mana removal spell. It just doesn't get the job done. And Paulo, yikes. Now, the only good news here, though, is that Paulo does not draw a card here.
Right.
Because of first strike.
But that first strike is also saving that Ripjaw Raptor from being unfriendly fired.
Yep. Yeah, it sure is, and killing 2 of Yam's creatures in the process. So, truly, it was a devastating first strike there. Sure strike from Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa. And now Yam just has to say, well, I'm going to use my mana here, and we're going to see pounce from Paulo, it looks like.
Probably just... Oh, okay.
Yeah,
got to draw that card.
The Ripjaw Raptor actually took no damage in combat, so
Wow.
it still has its full toughness, and you got to get your value.
No board for Yam Wing Chun. He needs a colossal Dreadmaw here if he wants any hope of coming back.
Do you think this looks good or bad for Yam, Paul, as an expert?
Well, as an expert, I would say it looks bad.
Okay.
But maybe as a novice, I would.
You would say
it
it's
still
okay?
looks pretty bad.
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
still
all
bad.
right.
All right. Yeah, this is not going to end well.
Dinosaur mana.
Paulo calls that kitchen finks. For those of you modern players, you'll get that reference, but it's really not kitchen finks.
No, not so much.
And this should be the last attack of the game.
Attack with everything. Block the 3/3, I guess.
And then he's going to have to use
just unfriendly fire.
his unfriendly
sure.
fire to kill the 3/3. These trade. Well, that's still half of his life total.
Right, but
He has
Chun
nothing.
again can draw a colossal. Oh no, this needs to not happen.
Oh, Paulo with the 6-drop follow-up, Sun-Crowned Hunters. And like you said, I kind of like holding out a little hope for a Colossal Dreadmaw from Yam.
But that'll probably be the end.
He drew Charging Monstrosaur.
Not quite good enough. I don't think you want to show that because it looks like.
Well,
Is he just dead on board here?
no, he's not.
No, he's not. He can block.
He can block the Ripjaw Raptor.
Yeah, but then how is he going to deal with the Sun Crown Hunters?
Well, he just takes 7 and goes to 1, but
And then it survives. But if he has any way to
Paul,
kill it, you're going to take 3 damage from
I'm
it.
going to tell you how this works, okay?
Okay, how does
You
this
said,
work?
is he dead on board?
Okay,
I answered your question.
All right. What I'm saying is there a sequence of cards that Yam can draw that gets him out of this? I don't think so.
I would say no. Not in green-red. You just have to deal damage at some point, and that leaves him dead.
Right.
So. To the more broad question, is he dead? Yes. Yes, he's dead. Paulo draws another card off of Ripjaw Raptor.
That thing's got
It's like 3 cards.
3
already.
cards? Oh, my goodness.
All right, and
that'll
that
do.
is going to be it. The minor slow roll, though, from Yam, and we're going to get a little Game 3 action between these two nemesis. Do you think that they view each other?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
I don't think
either.
so. I mean, PV's just been around long enough where he needs to have played somebody a few times to actually consider his opponent a nemesis.
It is really
maybe for Yam.
disappointing. They're both they're nice. Like
Right.
both of them are just good people. It's like, oh man, I thought maybe we could arm wrestling match or something. All right, well, let's take a look at back on Kentaro Yamamoto and Paul Dean and see how that one is shaping up from Paul's perspective.
What is
Because remember,
happening
he
here?
was down a game. Wow. Oh, Hostage Taker is happening here.
And that's off a Dragon Skull Summit, so that means there's a red spell also in Paul Dean's deck.
So what did he take? It could be the Tishana's Wayfinder, though he has his own. No, that's his own.
Is it? Oh,
Maybe it died.
maybe it hit.
Because I can see that Yamamoto's sleeves have a black border on the front face, and I don't see
Right,
any
right.
of those here for Paul Dean. So the damage must have already been done where Paul, maybe had cast a card off of the hostage taker and then blocked or something along those lines.
Taking a look at Yamamoto's hand, it's just filled with giant monsters that he can't cast. I see some Dreadmaws and a Thundering Spineback in hand.
Oh, no.
Yep.
1 mana away.
It seems to have been a...
Well, we have one clue on the battlefield, Paul, as to what hostage taker could have taken. Can you see it?
Did it steal a vampire token?
Yeah. Well, you identified the clue, so good job. You're going to get partial credit.
Partial
for
credit,
Yeah.
yay!
It was, in fact, a Paladin of the Bloodstain, and that is the leftover vampire.
All right, yeah.
You're getting there, Paul. I like
Okay.
this. You're moving right along.
Learning, right, okay. I was like, oh, the vampire.
Yeah, we'll talk about the rules of the game a
No,
little later.
is this something doesn't work there?
Yeah.
Is that what happens?
There's a hiccup.
Okay.
Again, I like the spirit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's important.
Kentaro finds himself significantly behind, thanks in no small part to that hostage taker.
But Paul not really getting in for a ton. So
No, he's not.
if Kentaro can just find some lands in his next couple of draw steps, he might be able to stabilize with those 6/6s.
Yeah. The real problem is the Stormfleet Aerialist here that Paul Dean has. Ooh, and he just
All
actually
right.
drew an answer for it.
He didn't find the land, but putting that on the aerialist means basically almost all of Paul Dean's offense has been halted here. That Ixalan's Diviner is doing a lot of work.
Yeah, as far behind as Kentaro looks on board, he is precariously close to stabilizing this thing. And, if he can go land, Colossal Dreadmaw right into the Thundering Spineback is a long-term game plan that is very difficult to beat,
Yeah.
especially for the colors that Paul is in. Green-blue does not have a lot of answers to Thundering Spineback. What was that?
I have no idea. It looked like a spell.
Okay.
I mean,
Paul.
at some point, given that Kentaro just has a bunch of probably very large creatures in hand, do you just try to end the game as quickly as possible and just be really aggressive in your attacks?
You have to assume that that's what Kentaro has, right?
Yes.
At this point, he's not playing any extra lands. He has not removed anything else.
If Paul Dean attacks with everything, he's lining it up where the Shipwreck Looter and the Hostage Taker would both be eaten up by the Ixalan's Diviner and the Emissary of Sunrise, and that means Paul would be able to get in for 10 damage. So what
Gosh,
was that last
is
card?
that enough?
Combat. Okay.
Okay, so he's attacking with all the creatures that don't just die to a single block.
But
Taro
one of-
Yamamoto can still double block,
He can.
but
Yeah,
that would mean he would lose an Emissary of Sunrise if he did.
Double block it.
Yeah.
Put those.
So that's a 1-for-1, and he takes 5 damage.
Okay, a reasonable step forward.
Whoa!
Oh, it was a Verdant Sun's Avatar off the top for Paul. That puts him back up to 14. But again, I have to
Dreadmaw
say,
here
a
just
land
turns it around.
Oh. Awakening, Priest of the Awakening Sun here for Kentaro. Now, he's going to be gaining life.
He's going to be gaining life, but he really needs Paul to whiff this turn. That did not look like it. Was that a Shapers of Nature?
Couldn't see. Although he's got 3 mana.
Oh,
It was
my
gain
goodness.
3 life, and he's got the mana left over to wreak havoc with combat. I think that the window has closed here on Kentaro Yamamoto.
Wow, and all he needed was just a land.
Last 3
His last-
turns, a land would have been seriously good towards stabilizing him, though it is interesting to see the Shapers of Nature here, because I wonder if Kentaro could have stabilized against this anyway.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
And now we see Paul Dean with the all-out attack and that one activation of the Shapers
Yeah.
in his pocket. He can put a +1/+1 counter on any of these creatures.
This.
And Kentaro's
So, but-
options are very limited. He's going to have to chump block here, realistically speaking.
Verdant Sun's Avatar into Shapers of Nature.
Yeah, he's dead.
Pretty good.
So Paul Dean's going to even things up, force a game 3 over there. That, of course, means that we get back to our grudge match. that has been just kind of a good match. You know, it hasn't turned out to be quite as
Pretty lopsided game so far.
grudge. Yeah, maybe they'll start, screaming at each other here in game 3. The blood's boiling.
I still remember.
Yeah. Oh, that's what's gonna happen. That's it. You
What?
figured it out. Yam wins the match, and then rubs it in, right?
Then
And
rubs
says,
it in.
Who won the match now, Paul? That kind of thing. He's planning.
I
it
just
out
don't
in-
see that. I just don't see that in him.
All right. Well, we'll see. He also has to win the match, which is the
Right.
hard part against
Well, Paulo
Paulo.
is going down to 6.
That's right. That is a good step in that direction for Yam. Take a look at Paulo, one of the all-timers in our game. I mentioned at the onset, but he does have 12 Pro Tour top 8s. We got to see him play against Gabriel Nassif yesterday, and it was just funny that Paulo just has 3 more top 8s than a true all-timer like Nassif as well. All right, we've got to keep. Scry to the bottom. Draw a card for the turn.
We're
Go.
probably going to get a 2-drop out of Yam here.
Well, it is turn 2. I mean,
Whoa.
uh-oh. No 2-drop out of Paulo.
Right.
Less surprising. On one hand, he did have to mulligan. On the other hand, he has a lot of 2-drops. All the ones that Yam passed in this draft basically ended up with Paulo.
Oh, wow.
Oh, how about
The captain is in the house.
Lannery Storm?
That's a good way to ramp if your opponent doesn't play a 2-drop.
By the way, I noticed something about Lannery Storm. She has a silver tooth. Did you know this?
I did not.
Yeah, you haven't been at Wizards long enough to know.
Oh,
But
I did not know that. Yeah.
we had a graphic that had a close-up of the artwork, and oh yeah,
Silver tooth.
she got into some scuffle in her early days.
Oh, Paulo also has a Raging Raptors. A shiny one.
Looks pretty good here,
Yep.
not gonna lie. Ranging Raptors is a bit of a brick wall. People are very reluctant to trade their creature for it and let you get the land.
Yeah, it's so frustrating to play against. Especially when you're the red-green deck. There's just no good way to get rid of it. Yan Wing-Chun does have an unfriendly fire, which he can use on the Ranger Raptors, which would give in another attack with the Captain Lannery Storm. But
It would get him that
I don't
treasure
think you want to
back.
ramp Paulo at this point in the game. So he might just play out a big threat here instead.
That's exactly what he does. He's going to go for Thrash of Raptors and pass the turn back to Paulo. And this turn's going to be really interesting because Paulo's going to hit his land, and I think that's the last land that he has in his hand. Let's take a quick
Right?
scan.
But he's got a pounce.
Oh, no, I was wrong. He's also got a forest in there, so he's doing just fine.
I think he drew a pounce as well.
Oh, interesting.
So he can actually use the pounce to fight the Captain Lannery Storm, which would force Yan Wing-Chun to actually sacrifice his treasure to make that trade. And that would ramp Paulo, but it looks like he's choosing to keep the pounce in hand for a later moment.
He's just going to go ahead and play a Frenzied Raptor instead.
And Raging Raptors.
That thing,
The brick wall. You
Brick
need
wall?
All right, it's time for some 6/6s. That's what Yam needs.
you shall not pass.
See a charging Monstrosaur in Yam's hand.
Well, I would cast
Probably
that
what he
spell.
drew for the turn, given he could have played that last turn. But I don't think he wants to trade the Monstrosaur for the 2 dinosaurs in play.
You don't think so?
necessarily? Maybe.
I'm not hating it.
It's. I guess it does clear the board, and he does have an unfriendly fire for the follow-up.
It's also, he could consider just playing it and attacking with all of his creatures. They're all minimal trades or 2-for-1s in his favor.
He could choose to do that. Paulo would get both the small creatures off the board.
He's doing
Okay,
it.
All right.
He's jamming. He's going to get a treasure. Her tooth fell out.
Her tooth did fall out.
Cha-ching. And now,
All right. So now
no
Paulo.
good blocks for Paulo.
Yeah, well, Paulo's going to put the 4/2 in front of the.
Ranging Raptors. Excuse me.
So the Raging
Thrash
Raptors is going in front of the captain.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
meant the Thrash
right.
of Raptors.
The Thrasher Raptors is going in front of the Frenzied Raptors. And then he's going to take the 5. He's going to get that additional land. And if he finds a land, he can then play the Sun-Crowned Hunters, and that would basically
Well,
be able to brick wall the Monstrosaur.
or just trade.
Or, sorry, trade, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
But Yan Wing-Chun does have that unfriendly fire to get
that's
rid of that
right.
as well.
And that is a critical piece of the puzzle here. Because, look, if you look at this, these are the predicted blocks that Yam would have come back with. But look at this board state when we're done. Boom. Charging Monster Sword against nothing.
Last dinosaur standing.
Yeah. And
All the little ones, we just got them all out of the way. We don't want to see those. But yeah, I mean, I think this is Paulo's game plan. He's going to play the Sun Crown Hunters and be like, look, I really hope you don't have that unfriendly fire, unless he draws a bigger dinosaur.
He did hit the land, or actually perhaps he had it. No, he drew Lightning Strike. But this is kind of exactly what Yam wanted to see here, because he can take this opportunity to just kill the Sun Crowned Hunters. He also can attack first if he'd like.
What do you even need to slow roll here? Just play your unfriendly fire.
I mean, he can also just attack and see what Paulo does.
I guess it is free because it has trample.
That's right. And it is interesting because let's not forget that Paulo's holding Pounce, and there's a little bit of information to be gained from Yam by just attacking first.
Yeah, but there's there's no way Paulo doesn't block here. You know what I mean? Paulo's at 10 life.
It's a free roll. Why not find out?
I guess, but it's just...
Like, let's say Paulo,
save time.
Let's say Paulo has Pounce plus...
yeah.
Oh, wow, that does it. Jeez, what a quick game for Yam Wing Chung. Look at him. He says, who's the top? Oh, no, he didn't say any of that.
All right.
He didn't flip the
Maybe
table.
they play at some point later on for the best of 3 here.
Oh, it only counts for top 8 matches. The grudge matches only...
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
that's when the angry faces, you can turn them on.
One of the big storylines, by the way, in the tournament right now, Yam Wing Chung, he's undefeated still. That was him staying undefeated, and of course the matches are getting tougher and tougher for him, but he is now 10-0. And like, speaking of top 8 matches, like he's kind of peeping his head up over the hill and can start to see that top 8 tables ahead of him here with that many wins. I mean, how many more does he need?
Well, generally, X4 with very good breaks can sneak into the top 8. This is a large
And
pro
that's
tour.
12?
Yeah, 12 and 4, so he needs, just 2 more wins. 3 would be a lock.
Uh-huh.
And, he's looking very, very good right now.
Right. We still have another round of draft to bring you
what
today.
a curve here from Paul Dean.
Holy smokes. This is exactly what you want to see if you're the Merfolk player.
It looks like he is stalled on lands, though. As Yamamoto is...
I'm trying to figure out how this game actually played out. You see that Perilous Voyage in the graveyard?
So he must have just drawn a Shapers of Nature at some point later on in the game.
Okay.
And then maybe just drew the Vine Shaper Mystics here.
Yeah, that could be. He may have just used it to bounce a threat, like maybe even just the Shining Aerosaur or an earlier drop that Yamamoto, just hadn't had a chance to play yet.
Ooh, that's a nice
Sunrise
one.
Seeker, oh, geez. Imperial Aerosaur is the reveal. And he says, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and keep that one on top, Paul.
All right.
Play a land, go.
And Kentaro deciding not to attack because he's currently at 12 life. This way, he can actually choose to double block the Shapers of Nature to get it off the board. If he attacked with the Shining Aerosaur and Paul Dean played a land, that Shapers would have been a 5/5 and would have been able to attack through the Sunrise Seeker.
I mentioned that Kentaro's playing for Team Musashi again this year. They're the reigning Team Series champions. Paul Dean, he's playing for Revelation, a new team. We haven't seen them before. He's got a Sailor of Means. Still just can't seem to find that 4th land, though, can he?
Yeah, doesn't really have a great attack here either.
So he just has to pass the turn back. Wow, Paul's looking at this going, oh, if I had found a land.
Right.
He could really start to press this advantage, use the Shapers of Nature, but...
And Kentaro, what's he going to play here? He can play the Imperial Aerosaur and just get in for 5 with the Sunrise Seeker. Oh, it looks like he's getting very aggressive here.
Yeah, we're going to upgrade to 8.
Yeah.
Okay, no blocks. So take it.
And he's got a pretty good defensive creature in hand, too. I think I saw an Inspiring Cleric in hand.
You did. I saw that, too.
Wow. Okay, so big, big turn from Kentaro here.
Yeah, he really asserted his advantage here, got in for a big hit of damage, and is significantly ahead of Paul, who just can't seem to find lands. You know what Paul needs here?
What does Paul need?
Hostage Taker. Ooh, we're showing that he's got one in his hand. Remember, he made a treasure last turn from the Sailor of Means.
And he is playing against a white-green deck, so white-green decks generally can't get Hostage Takers off the board unless they have a card like Pounce.
Pounce, yeah, they have a difficult time. Yeah, Savage Stomp, there's not much.
Yeah. With double Siren's Ruse?
Oh my.
Jeez.
Wow. If
He just needs lots of lands.
yes, what he needs to do here is he needs to play hostage taker and have it survive. Then he could play the card that he gets. Then the next turn he can start Sirens Rusing, and of course, binding all of this together is him just drawing land, basically. Like, he just needs to see as many lands as he can. He has all the tools he needs to win this game.
Seems like he has to kind of run out the hostage taker here. There's just
Totally.
too much in the air. Probably going for what is he going for? Probably
Well,
the 3/4 flyer, but I guess he can't cast the 3/4 flyer.
And he won't
That's
be
the
able
problem.
to for a long time because he has to use this treasure just to get the hostage taker down. He'll be down to 3 lands. The downside to taking the Imperial Aerosaur, of course, though, is it doesn't block the Shining Aerosaur effectively.
Yeah. However, he can play that if he finds land number 4, and then use that along with the Shaper's Apprentice to double block. That is an option.
He decided to go for the Shining Aerosaur and just hope to start hitting lands. And you heard the judge pop in there, a warning given to Paul Dean for slow play. That did take a little while. It was a critical turn, and Paul needed to take a minute, but you know, you do have to play in a pace at which you can finish the match, so he's going to pick up a warning there.
I guess the Shaper's Apprentice is already a 3/2. There is a counter on there, so that does actually just deal with the Imperial Aerosaur on board.
Good point.
He's willing to just wait on the mana.
That's
but
right.
Boom!
Doesn't anymore.
Not anymore. It is now a 4/4 thanks to the Thundering Spineback that's on the battlefield.
Oh, you got to feel for Paul Dean here. Game 3, they're both sitting at 7-2. He has everything he needs to win and cannot find a land to save his life, and it may be the end of him.
And I like the attack here with the Sunrise Seeker too, just putting the pressure on Paul Dean. And Paul recognized, he's like, I'm not going to ever have the mana to use the Shapers of Nature. I'm just going to get that 4/4 off the board.
So the window closing very quickly, and Paul misses again. It's a Tashana's Wayfinder off the top of the library.
Jeez. Okay. And now Paul Dean does have a River Herald's Boon, so he could use that to put a counter on the Shaper's Apprentice to trade off with the Imperial Aerosaur.
Okay.
Because he can turn that into 4/3, and he can also put a counter on another creature. That might be his play because he needs to get that flyer off the board.
Sirens Roost.
Okay.
Treasure, draw a card.
Getting some mana, trying to find a
And
land.
he's going to draw a card, and he hits
Okay.
a forest. Okay. This gives him the opportunity to keep the treasure intact and do the play that you mentioned
Right.
with the River Herald's Boon, put a +1/+1 counter on the Shaper's Apprentice, block, get a trade, and then put another counter
On the
down
Vine
on
Shaper
the
Mystic.
on the Vine Shaper Mystic. That was
What was
pounced
that?
off the top.
Oh, no.
That was pounced
Oh,
off the
no.
top.
Brutal.
Oh, Kentaro, you beast. That is such a savage rip there from Kentaro Yamamoto. Of course, he gives away nothing about what he has.
You're not going to know about this pounce.
And look, this isn't going to work anyway. It's pious interdiction here from Kentaro, who gives a little nod of the head and says, I'm going to gain 2 life and take out really your only threatening blocker at this point.
Everything.
Yeah, he's got pounce. He can put the pressure on Paul, make him react, and then Kentaro gets to say, haha.
Right, yeah, what are even the good blocks here on the Thundering Spineback? I think you might just have to take the damage there. Paul is the one who has to react first here.
Just thinking. Okay, yeah.
Looks like he's lining up perhaps a chump block with the Sailor of Means and what would end up not being a chump block with the Vine Shaper Mystic.
All right,
Just
hope
gonna-
you have nothing. This is the I hope you have nothing.
He also put a +1/+1 counter on Hostage Taker, but here we go.
I think we're going to be fighting the hostage taker here.
Yep, pounce at the opportunity.
Oof, brutal.
Kentaro
He's like,
Yamamoto
no,
just delivered
why?
a dagger to Paul Dean, who all
Not
he could
like
do
this.
is say, yep, yep.
Counter. What that means? Yeah, I take 4. I'm at 4.
And this one has completely slipped away from Paul. You know, actually had a reasonable shot at coming back
Right.
by using the hostage taker multiple times if he could find the mana and a little bit of stability. And look at this, just a turn late here, crushing Canopy for Paul Dean.
He just had all the answers. He was just such short on mana. So short on mana.
And remember, Kentaro, while being significantly ahead in all reasonable categories here as far as board state goes, he even has the long game plan here of if Paul were to stabilize using the Thundering Spineback to just spit out a bunch of dinosaurs.
Yeah,
and
one of the
kill 'em with
few good mana sinks in the format.
Paul is trying to fight and scrap, but Kentaro Yamamoto is relentless.
Paul in a really rough situation here.
Yeah,
against
he's
the
got
Japanese
Siren's
pro.
Ruse to try to save the Shaper Apprentice. Makes sense, it frees up a blocker. He does not get to draw a card. And it does not get to keep its +1/+1 counter. So these are chump blocks. Unless Paul has another way to pump or do something, and he doesn't. So it's chump, kill your flyer.
No board.
Well, sayonara board, and jeez, Kentaro.
All right, this has got to be real good.
And that's going to do it. Kentaro Yamamoto improves to 8-2, and he almost smiled there for a second.
No, that wasn't a smile.
Okay. Are you sure? I
That
thought
was just a sigh of relief.
Okay. I mean, I haven't seen him smile before, but actually, you know, I think I did. I think
Did he even
in
smile when Team Musashi won the Team World Championship?
Oh, definitely.
I don't even
not.
think he
No,
did.
you don't smile when you win. But
Right.
I
right.
do think he might have in the Enter the Battlefield.
Oh,
They
okay.
did on Team Musashi. I think we got because they said one of them said that he looked like he's in a boy band.
Right.
They
can
said
see
he's
that.
so good looking, and
Yeah.
I think he cracked a
Okay,
smile
okay.
at that, you know, because they were joking around with him. But he's looking good here, I'll tell you that. He is sitting with just 2 losses, and you know, perhaps in view of yet another top 8 for Kentaro Yamamoto. We're going to be keeping an eye on that and all the other storylines as they unfold here at Pro Tour Ixalan. We're going to take a short break here from the booth, but when we come back, we'll have the last round of Booster Draft. Don't you go anywhere.
Hello again, Rich Hagan, your host here as we head down the stretch of draft action. If you're just joining us this weekend as your Saturday picks up wherever you are around the world, morning, afternoon or night, welcome along. We've got one more round of draft and then it'll be 5 rounds of standard to determine our top 8. Reminder, if they played people yesterday in standard, they cannot play those same people in today's set of standard. That's how the pairings work. Now, some results coming in. Zhao Han of China is up to 8-2 over Sam Ehlenfeld. Brad Maxwell falls to 7-3. That's because Guillaume Matignon is up to 9-1. Mike Sigrist is also at 9-1 from Team ChannelFireball, of course, former Player of the Year. A loss for a Team ChannelFireball member, that's Ben Stark. He's back at 7-3 because Christian Hawk of that Team Phoenix 404 that I mentioned earlier, all-German team, he's the best of them at 8-2. Also 8-2, Jeffrey Pika. He defeated Tomoharu Saito, former Player of the Year. Saito down to 7-3. Meanwhile, Brian David Marshall is down on the floor with a player who has a fantastic record right now. Here he is with John Rolfe.
Thanks, Rich. I'm here with John Rolfe for his second career Pro Tour video interview. John, why don't you tell people about the first one?
Yeah, so you actually interviewed me in 2007 at Pro Tour San Diego. I was just there for side events, but you were somehow covering a side event and interviewed me, so second time.
Do you still have that Portuguese box, or has it gone somewhere else?
It's gone, I sold it.
All right, so 10 years has passed, still playing Magic, and if people are paying attention to the Grand Prix circuit, your name has come up a lot. You have 2 Grand Prix top 8s, but if you peer a little deeper, you've actually had even more success than just the top 8s.
Yeah, I've been running really well this summer. I think 5 out of 6 GPs I've top 16 or better. I live with my roommate Brandon Ayers, he's gold, and then my friend Nathan Smith is gold, and he lives right by me, so I've been leaning on those guys, getting experience, leveling up.
So, and those guys are teaming with you on Team Metagame Guru's Moon?
Team Metagame Guru's Moon. We have two different squads, 6 deep, just a lot of good players. I'm happy to represent them.
Now, 9-1, that means your match win total at this Pro Tour exceeds your total match wins at 4 previous Pro Tours. Talk to people about that experience of getting to your first couple of Pro Tours. Obviously sometimes you get the crazy, amazing success story, but more often than not, this is a hard tournament to play in, right?
Yeah, I think PTs are just really hard. People say that, but they're actually just incredibly hard, and you do have to run well and be playing well. And for me, it was mostly about mindset. At first, I would get really nervous at Pro Tours, and I just couldn't play my game because I was worried about playing top-level pros. But the more I did it, the more I got comfortable, and I wasn't making mistakes anymore that I used to.
And how important is it, you mentioned your teammates, to have people who are in the same situation where you guys are all sort of like pulling each other up and pushing each other forward?
It's everything. I mean, you need a support network here. My Brandon is on the rail helping me, like giving me advice, supporting me. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the team. All
right, well, 9-1. It doesn't get any easier from here, John. I'm gonna say you're looking at a match with Mike Sigrist this round.
Not looking forward to that. But I've already played Saito and Pierre Dejean, so what's one more, I guess? I don't know.
All right, John. Good luck the rest of the way here to you and Team Metagame Guru's Moon.
Yeah, you see, when he says Pro Tours are really, really hard, that's what he's talking about. You come in, you beat Tomoharu Saito, former Player of the Year, then you beat Pierre Dajon, a Pro Tour finalist, looking for his 3rd Pro Tour top 8, and then the end boss to win the draft pod. That's just a former Player of the Year in Mike Sigrist. Yes, Pro Tours are really, really hard. All right, so great job by him. He's at 9-1. And again, worth noting, the support network. They form a team rooming with other gold players, and he's really reaping the rewards. If you've got ears and a brain, you can get a long, long way in Magic the Gathering. Find the players near you who know more than you do, and that's a great start to a good Magic career. All right, so John Rolfe, 9-1, great job by him. Yanwing Chun, of course, is 10-0. He leads the field, the only perfect record. But someone else with just 1 loss is Guillaume Matignon. He's got a very nice draft deck, and we're going to build that up for you now in the company of Maria Bartholdi.